good afternoon to all and welcome to our Founder's Journey. We have quite an hour ahead of you. We are so thrilled because today we announced our latest investment, and what an exciting investment it is. It was covered, Madison Reed covered in Forbes magazine this morning about their fundraise, their $50 million plus fundraise, and Portfolia, and two of our funds are a part of that. So we're so excited to have such a timely founder's journey and have with us the CEO and founder of Madison Reed, Amy Errett. So Amy, it's so great to have you here today.
Thank you, Trish. I am excited. It's been a busy morning, and I'm super excited to be here. And more than just being here, I'm thrilled to be part of the journey. And I was very moved in the intro to this to see women together and to be part of something that's really important in the world. So my deepest thanks to you believing in us, and let's make some change together.
Let's do. Well, there are two of our funds that we're able to invest in Madison Reed, the First Step Fund. So those of you in First Step now have an equity share of Madison Reed, and then Rising America is in Madison Reed as well. So we're really thrilled to be backing you. And I just have to call out this first sentence in Forbes magazine's article about you today. They say, beauty disruptor Madison Reed turned dying gray hair into serious green during the pandemic. But of course, we know you were really growing even before the pandemic, and really it shifted everything. And that's one of the reasons we're so excited, because you've enhanced our lives. You're going to make us money in the return, and you're really changing things for women really at all levels. So kind of start us out, Amy, telling us how you got started with Madison Reed and the original concept.
Yeah. So I'm a four-time entrepreneur. As I say, it's you can't take that out of the girl somehow. I was an investor for 6 years and a GP at Mavron, and ran the Bay Area office of Mavron, Seattle-based consumer venture fund. Howard Schultz is involved as a partner. And so I was in the thick of seeing lots of changes in what we classically call CPG, consumer packaged goods, Dollar Shave, lots of those things that we, by the way, passed on. And I was intrigued. And at the same time, after 6 years, I sort of was as I call it, the accidental venture capitalist, not in any negative way, but I was a operator that happened to just, have Howard and Mavron want me to be a venture capitalist, but it wasn't, I loved it. It was great. I don't regret any part of it. It's made me a better CEO, but I missed operating. And so I went on a quest, the truth is, to find that category in the women's space that was the analog to shaving and the repetitive nature. And, I couldn't believe the numbers of how big hair color was. I just could not believe it. And then I started looking at solutions, and I just realized nobody had really disrupted the category of at home. No one had disrupted the salon part of the experience. And so I went on a quest to figure out if I could find people to help us make hair color with a better product story. So we've innovated. We have an 8-free formula, so that I knew that we had to have a size of a market that was big. We had to have product innovation, and we had to have a great team. And so I knew the size of the market, but I didn't know whether we really could make great hair color in the chemical profile that we were looking for. So we went to the EU. We've had great R&D in the company with scientists. We knew that the European Union was very sophisticated about the chemical profile, what's in, what's out. And we went, we started following protocols in a process, 1,000 women's in a beta. And, at that time, True Ventures, who just led this round, John Callahan, who's been on our board from the beginning, wanted to lead the A, and we got some money and we started to put things together. So the genesis of the business initially was product innovation and technology enablement We have a very sophisticated algorithm where you take 18 questions and there's now 16 million plus hair profiles that actually get smart, and they can tell you what hair color you should order with a couple of different choices. So, we kind of put that together. That was growing really nicely. And then about 2.5 years ago, I convinced the board that the other 50% of the market, because 52% of women color at home. Many of you listening to this may think, wow, that seems like a big number, but it's really true. And 48% go to a salon. So we knew that 50% of the total addressable market, we didn't have the right solution for that. And so we convinced the board to do what was called a pop-up in New York City, which was the genesis of our hair color bars. And it, $19,000 of at-home advertising, on a billboard of 9 blocks around the Flatiron, out-of-home advertising filled up the color bar. And I was like, oh boy, eureka. And so, that turned into our hair color bar strategy. We have over 30 now. And then we're on Ulta. And so then we looked at the next distribution channel, which was wholesale. Ulta's been a fantastic partner. We blew the doors off of those numbers for the last couple of years. And, so we were growing really nicely before the pandemic. And then this March 12th, we went to bed one night, thinking like, what is happening here? And then on March 13th, everything changed for the world. The truth is, I say this all the time, I am humbled, truly humbled that, we could do something to help. It doesn't take away the tragedy, and it doesn't take away the fact that it's really weird. And I spent the first 9 months hiding when anybody would ask me, like, your business must be on fire. And the bubble in my head was, yes, it is, but the world is having a hard time. So I didn't really want to boast about that because that didn't feel appropriate. We've had team members that have had massive hardship in their families. We had to close stores. We had to, we had team members that got COVID, not in our stores, but in their life. And so we were battling a lot of mixed signals, even though our business sort of exploded. And so, you bring it up to now, we're a completely different place where I think I told Trish this, this question, like, you go to bed March 13th and you're sort of 5 years old, and you wake up sometime in August and you're like 14 years old, but you didn't have those 6 years to catch up with all the maturation process. So we have been catching up, and we've been learning what it's like to run a big business that continues to grow. Had a great January, great February. So it's not like turning and stopping. And so, we're changing out the engine while the jet is flying. And, we are blessed. The gratitude that I and the team feel for the belief in what we're doing, because we're doing something bigger than just what I said, which I'll get to later. So we're blessed, and I feel grateful, and yet humbled by the experience.
Well, you've just done such a great job leading the company. And as you said, I mean, you have been running companies before. You've been on the dark side, on the venture side, and you've seen a lot happen. You've seen a lot of success, and you've seen companies that haven't made it. And so we'll just like back up a little bit on that too, because I'm sure there were a lot of naysayers that were looking at this and saying, oh my gosh, there are huge people that own the at-home market already, and it's so hard to get purchased, direct to consumer starting out. So how did you do that? How did you kind of break through the noise and really get started with it?
Yeah, so I love this question because it's got two parts. It's the naysayer part, which I'll talk about, and then it's the part about what did we do, right? So there's been enormous naysayers. People laugh when I say this. I'm nice, but I'm competitive. And the naysayers have been vast, and they have said, like, hair color, who cares about hair color? And my answer is, like, every woman in the world, by the way. But meanwhile, you're a dude and you're not like asking me irrelevant, how a total addressable market, I don't know. And so there have been a lot of naysayers, not naysayers because they're just terrible people, but because here's the thing that we all know that are all this call. People typically back things that are relatable to them. And if you're a guy and you're talking about hair color, or femtech, they're like, what is it that you're talking about to me? Because it's not relevant. Okay. So the reason that we all have to be together to change the world is because it is relevant and we need to have voices. And in that article, I think the fun part of that first, like green is a universal color, by the way. And so, here's the thing. There's been tons of naysayers. I have a list of the naysayers, not in a bad way, but I'm going to thank them all, because every time you doubt us and every time anybody doubts any of you on the phone, it's just evidence that there's something there, right? And so what did we do? We listened to the feedback. We listened to the feedback. Every no that we got, every doubter we got had a reason. Some of them were just size of the prize, which we knew what was wrong. Some of them didn't like subscription businesses and didn't think our retention was high enough and blah, 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 blah. Didn't like four walls, didn't like omni-channel, didn't think. And so the answer to that is we listened to all the feedback. We took it seriously. And then we put our head down and we got competitive and we executed and we are resilient and we are still learning, but we are going to win. Mm-hmm. And so, like when you create the dream for people and you align culture and you reward your team members and you tell things people things are true, and then you act that way, people will follow you over enormous mountains and valleys. And we've had valleys and we will have more valleys, by the way. That's called life. So, we are excited. Doubt us, please. But we're a pretty persistent bunch. So, that's how we've dealt with it. We've had believers like yourselves, like True Ventures, like Norwest, like Comcast Ventures, like Calibrate, who saw behind the scenes and numbers and are like, oh my goodness, there's really something here. And they also saw the most important thing is the team. Our team is extraordinary. It's a little bit more mature than most, which I think, Trish, just means people are trying to say we're a little older than the average people that get funded. But what I see in that, by the way, is like, I'm not enamored with the ups and downs, like I'm not enamored on the Forbes article, like this is incredible. And what I say is, yes, it is. And the humility of what we still need to do can't take, you can't let your ego be the thing that drives you. You have to be in reality and say, okay, a lot of hard work. Let's celebrate the wins. Let's keep on going.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have in the chat, as you could probably see if you've had a peek there, just a whole cheering squad right here, just person after person saying they're using Madison Reed and they love the online experience and being able to take a photo, and it's just going on. And I think that indicates what you're talking about, is that there are huge markets out there where women are the buyers and the influencers, and sometimes they can be overlooked, but we're all about backing those companies and making a change with those and making money with those. But you're even looking in the same way we are at a greater empowerment story, because you told me the other day, Amy, about how poorly paid so many salon experts are, and how you're a part of changing that as well.
Yeah, thank you for raising that. So, there's a mission here at Madison Reed. It's an ingredient mission. It's a empowerment mission to our customers. It's wanting people to feel beautiful and look beautiful on your terms. I'll get to my philosophy about what the media does to women if we buy into stories. Let's put that aside for a second. But the core of our business are colorists or cosmetologists. From the beginning, our call center has been cosmetologists. We did not outsource that. That's not in some other country with there are cosmetologists. I often tell the story that in the beginning, we had a little tiny office and I stood in between them all, hearing what our customers were asking and watching the reactions. And there are two things that are really important in the story. One is cosmetologists are extraordinary. And what they really are is not just artists, but they are psychologists. They are really, they are the relationships that they have developed. It's because hair is emotional. It makes you feel a certain way about yourself. And their job is to increase the probability that that's positive, right? That you look and feel beautiful. When I started to dig into how much they were paid and how much debt they come out of in cosmetology school, it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. $23,000 in debt on average. And the average cosmetologist, not the person that you see in New York City or Beverly Hills or San Francisco, but 150,000 salons in the US. I'm talking about the average is $15 an hour. I want you to do that math. That is why things are called systemic, by the way. Because if we cannot break the cycles of how people can make more income for their craft, we will be in the cycle. And so this company has taken a different approach. We're paying people 2 to 3x what they've ever made. We're giving them career opportunities. We're having them, I want you to set the stage of a hair color bar. If you've worked in a normal salon, a typical salon, you're inhaling ammonia all day long. You're standing behind the chair for 8 hours on your feet, hard job, and you're smelling this thing all day long, going home with a headache. We have no odor. We have no ammonia in our product. We have, there is a consciousness to the brand. And so what we have tried to say to people, and furthermore, not just 2 to 3x, if you're full-time, we pay you benefits, we pay benefits, give you benefits. So at the end of the day, here's the story. Like, this company isn't just about, it's about all the things I said, but at a meta level, what it's really about is like, we are going to change these colorists' lives. We are going to be the best jobs for them to come to. We're going to give them career opportunities. We are going to start a revolution of customers that are incredibly happy and team members that are happy. And if we do that, because the size of the prize is so big, not just in the US, but globally, at the end of the day, like, when I go to bed at night, I think, okay, did the little pebble that we dropped, in a pool of water change 3 colorists' lives today and their kids' lives? Hopefully the answer is yes. So, companies have platforms. And sometimes it takes a while for you to understand that the platform, the network effect of your platform is powerful. And we have a voice now. We've earned that right. So now we have to use that voice for things that the change is not just words, but it's actions. And we're pretty focused on that. It's not easy. We will make mistakes, by the way. And we've already made mistakes, but we'll continue to learn. And what happens in our team members is they come in, they look at the culture, and they're all juiced. And then they start going back to all of the experiences they've had before about, like, can I trust this? Is it real? Are these people crazy? And then they buy into this. And then what happens is they become advocates, running these stores, answering call center calls, doing video consultations. You could go to Madison Reed right now and get a live colorist, do a video consultation with you for your hair, if you want to go deeper than just doing the quiz online. So they're bought in. They are like, oh my goodness, this company actually is going to deliver for me. And, it's not easy when you scale, because the hardest part of growth is culture. The hardest part of growth is keeping that alive by not letting the weight of the conventional wisdom, well, that's expensive, that you should, let's cut around the edges. Well, this founder's not going to cut around the edges. And at the end of the day, if, that won't deliver us, then I will have at least changed a whole bunch of people's lives, with all due respect. I believe it'll deliver us, because at the end of the day, growth in revenue solves a lot of problems. And movement solves a lot of problems. And that's what we're doing here. We got a hair color revolution going on both sides, team members as well as customers.
Yeah. Well, let's talk more about that growth.
Yeah.
Over 100%, wasn't it, this past year?
127.
127. Wow. Well, tell us more about the growth. Give us kind of that growth trajectory story, and then, what you're seeing, for 2021 and beyond.
Yeah. So, the growth trajectory story is, as I said, like, we were growing like 50% a year at a good clip. And then you have 127 and you're just like, So two parts of the story. One is we've had to catch up with that growth. We've had to invest in supply chain. We've had to invest in, not just NetSuite, but making it work on all parts of inventory management. We've had to invest in people and getting more of them and understanding the infrastructure. Our people team has exploded. It's needed to, right? So, we've spent probably the last quarter, fourth quarter was all about last year of just catching up while we were still growing. Like every month it was just, continuing, and it's still continuing. I'd say this year it's hard. We've given the board a range, and that's honest. We have sort of taken the approach that like we need to learn a lot about our business and sit back and look at our business model. I got asked by somebody recently a question, which is a great question. Like, we have two parts of our business model online. You either buy a single box or you subscribe. And we have a lot of people coming to us like, I actually want a whole year's worth right now. I don't want to wait for your box. That's a different business model. That's a membership. We don't have a loyalty program. That's just wacky at this point, right? So there are so many things that we're opening 25 new hair colors. We'll have over 50 by the end of this year, hair color bars. We have minis now, which are retail only, 500 square feet, where we're only doing the thing, not the services. The front of our stores, have order online, pick up in store, right? And they have things like, I want to walk in and I want somebody, I pick this color, but I'm not sure because there's two other colors that on the swatch on my cell phone look close to each other because swatches don't turn up well. I want somebody who's a trained professional to look at my hair. So we now have consultation stations. So the answer to your question is it's 25 to 30 plus at least growth. It could be eons bigger than that. I think it'll be much bigger than that because retention as well has become such an important part of our business. And we're doing really well there, like just earning the right to keep customers. That within itself is a whole set of things. So, and Ulta continues to just be a great partner and channel for us. As you all know, if you don't know, Ulta is going into Target as beauty. We don't know what that means for us yet. There'll be 100 to 125 Ulta store within the store beauty within Target. So that's an exciting thing. So, lots more to come, but here's what I know. We're off to the races. We're taking this seriously. We want to ring that bell, and we want to ring that bell, not just for us. Yeah, sure. That feels good after the whole hard work for the team, but we want to ring the bell because we want to be a place where people understand that if women put their minds together and their hearts together and they believe in something, they can make something happen for a lot of people. Wow. We want to be that company.
So you're talking about going public when
Yes.
You're ringing that bell.
You bet.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time this summer, with my wife and the Madison Reed. I think there was one question: how did you develop the name? It's really simple. It's my kid's name. It's her first name is Madison. Her middle name is Reed. And the answer to that is why. It's a metaphor. It's not really just her. It's a metaphor for every little kid that's out there that deserves a chance to be who they are, that deserves a chance to have beauty be in their terms, not in the terms of media.
Yes.
And so we're also, if you look at our advertising, look at our imagery. It's 65-year-old women, because guess what? That's real. And they're beautiful. Mm-hmm. And it's people with different, types of hair, people with different skin color, people of different body shapes. Because guess what? That's real. What isn't real is somebody who flips their hair around on TV. No offense. I love Eva Longoria, but she does not color her hair at home for L'Oreal. Trust me. So my point of the matter is like, what is real? Real is who we are. And by the way, all of us, myself included, because I've bought into messages like anybody else. Guess what's real? We are beautiful. We live our lives every day. We have kids, we have families, we have, we work hard, we do all these things. It is time for us to stop trying to self-criticize ourselves for not being beautiful. Guess what? The mantra of Madison Reed is the following: confident is the new beautiful.
Yes.
So yes, I want to ring that bell. Yes, that's what the name's about. Am I saying that somebody can't come strategically and, they're all circling, trust me, every single one of the big CPG companies, they're circling. But at the end of the day, like what is the best thing for the shareholders, right? Like I basically have 3 customers every day that I gotta get up and think about. I gotta think about my preferred shareholders, like all of you, people who have backed us and given us money. I have to think about the common shareholders, which are my teammates who put this on their shoulders every single day, right? They are leaving it all out on the field every day, right? This is a chance of a lifetime for them. And then I need to think about our clients, which are my customers, right? And every day we got to weave that together and make it work. And so, my first company that I ever started got purchased by a big public company. There was elation in my life and there was sorrow because the thing that made it didn't exist anymore. And so I'm not saying we're not going to sell the company, but because I got to do what's best for those 3 things. But what isn't best is to change the magic of who we are. And so, if I look at the chances of that, the chances of that are that, we're going to decide that we're going to go it alone and we're going to fight the good fight and we'll deal with the ups and downs and we'll change colorist lives and we'll change a lot of young people's lives who've given years to this company and it's been their first job or their 8th job. And we're going to keep on doing what we're doing, but we're locked in on the prize. And the prize is not just what that share price is. The prize is, are we really making change? Are we breaking the system, right? Because the system's got to change, right? Like I want somebody who lives in Dallas, Texas, who's a colorist, who never had a job that anybody believed in her, to wake up one morning and say, like, I work at this great place. I made a bunch of money. My life has changed and I love coming to work every day. Score, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that. And that's happening so much. It's women that have been out in the world for a while who are saying it is systemic and we have the knowledge and we have the networks and we have the expertise to get in and really change it at the core. It's so exciting. So it's so many questions that are coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in 46 states and we're in 16 countries. And there are a number of people here from all over the world who are saying, are you coming to the UK? Are you going to go to Asia? So what is your kind of international plan? You're in the US now, for the most part, it's your focus, right?
Yes, we have only been in the US. Here's the thing, it's like the interest in us going everywhere. Like I have women, I can't make this up, who live in like Costa Rica, or they live in Greece, or they live in England, and they have family members in the US that package up 12 boxes of Madison Reed and send it to them, right? It is crazy. So the answer to that is we will go international. There is a thing that happens in a company, which is you can spread yourself too thin and put the cart before the horse. We got to get this right in the US. We must get this right. We're not there yet. We're a like flailing around teenager that grew a little bit and trying to find out our sea legs. But we will. And we have partners that we're in conversations with. There might be ways we have to understand, like every single place that we talked about or you talked about is a completely different market. The brand will show up differently. The ways that people understand the market or the norms are different. You don't just take a US based company who knows how to message one way and decide you're going to go to Asia and have people believe in your story. Because guess what? Culture is culture. And that means that you have to respect the culture of where you go. And so we're not ready for that. But we will be. And that's why we aspire to go public, because I don't think this is a, $600 million outcome.
Okay.
I think this is a, 10, 15, $20 billion outcome. This is a global company. We are going to change this industry, but that's going to take time and patience and capital and fortitude. So I promise you, we will get there. The truth is we're just not ready to get there.
And, I so respect that, because you're being so honest about, we've grown so rapidly. behind the scenes, we have not figured this all out yet, but we're
Exactly.
going to. And, sometimes entrepreneurs don't want to tell that story. They want it all to look like it's, they've got it all under control. And, a lot of it is, it's experimentation, as you're moving forward. What's keeping you up at night, Amy?
Oh, how long do you have? Uh, what's, look, entrepreneurs, I want to say something about the thing you just said, because if I am sure there are entrepreneurs on this call, and God bless you, we're crazy. And let's keep crazy, because crazy changes the world. I start every single board meeting with the following: let me tell you what's not going right? Because it's like life. How do you become an evolved human being? You lean into the messy, right? You lean into the messy. You go deep in the messy and say, wow, I'm a flawed human. How can I evolve, right? You don't just you don't just go, look how great I am. You lean into the messy. And when you lean into the messy of your company, and you lean into the messy of your team members and let them lean into the messy and bring their whole selves to work, that's where the magic starts, right? So I just want to give that advice for whatever it's worth for people. Lean into the messy, because in the messy is beautiful. Yeah. It's human, right? So then the other side of this, is what keeps me up at night. The hardest part when you grow is keeping culture. And, Amy can be on that platform of what I just said, but now I got to translate that platform to hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people. Mm-hmm. And the way you do that is you have to kind of institutionalize some of the story without it being rote, without it feeling like it's bullshit, excuse my language. So I'm constantly vetting about, like, we have the dream, look, I talk a lot. Every Monday with the entire company, I do lunch. Every Wednesday, I do an optional lunch. Every Friday morning, there's coffee with Amy, and we have wacky conversations. People line up on Zoom because they never know what crazy question I'm going to ask us to all talk about, right? What is the thing that is hardest about this is how that, what I call life when you believe is about the audacity of hope.
Yes.
Right? Leaning into the messy and the audacity of hope. And here's what I believe to be true. When you dream something big enough and you're willing to put it all out there and be honest about it, it will happen. The universe will manifest that, not because it's magical, but because it's the truth and because you work hard. What do I tell the Madison Reed all the time in the car, which is when you talk to your teenager with having the best moments, right? Like, you don't look at each other, but you talk. Here's the thing. Like, things don't happen if you don't work hard, by the way. They don't just show up on your doorstep. And they don't go perfectly. And sometimes you'll get knocked down and it's not fair and it doesn't feel good. And sometimes you'll catch a break and you'll be like, oh, wow, that was great. But at the end of the day, you got to get up and you have to say, what did I learn from that? What's the experience? Where can I improve? How can I pay it forward to other people? Because that is the humanity, right? Like, I can't do this myself. Right? I need 400 people to create an army. And my version of the story of their audacity of hope is different, right? And I got to let them be who they are carrying that story. And everybody that walks into a hair color bar has to feel who we are, that we're different and we mean it. And so translating that culture into the words, people think I'm crazy. I will share this with you. Not in terms of field colorist, or every colorist in our call center now, but every GM and above in the company, I interview. Mm-hmm. And what am I vetting for? I'm not interviewing them because I looked at the practicum of could they make Trish's hair look good? We have people who know how to do that. Guess what I'm interviewing for? I'm interviewing for the cultural fit. Because here's what I know. 1 or 2 people could bring a whole place down. Yeah. And the the drama, the negativity, and it's because guess what? Crappy things have happened to people. They didn't deserve them. Right. Mm-hmm. And so are we going to be a place to, if we can hire people who look at the 5 values we say, and they say, I can get up every morning and get behind that. Amen. And that's what I'm vetting for. Yes. And the other part that happens is, what happens to a person when the CEO takes the time to give them 30 minutes, that they've never met a CEO that they're going to work for again, never met the founder, worked 20 years at a place. I've never met the founder. You know what it's saying to somebody? I respect you 100%. You matter to me and you matter to the company. Because at the end of the day, here's what happens. Every single person just wants to be seen for their contributions. Yeah. They just want to be seen for who they are. And once you can do that, the sky is the limit. Mm-hmm. They will leave it all out on the field. So this is who we are. I'm worried about, the culture, and, every day I fight against the other stuff, which is like, no, that's not we're not doing that. My HR department will say to you, like, you just can't meet everybody. And I'm like, yeah, I can. Yeah. It's that important to me. So now I have other people on the calls with me, trying to figure out, what am I asking for, teaching them how to scale that, right? Who are the champions and the voices in the company that can get this culture? And then the last thing that I worry about, just honestly, is, we just have a lot of things to figure out. And, the SPAC world is, if I get one more SPAC that reaches out to me this morning, I had 3 conversations. It's not because we're going to do a SPAC right now, so I can just assure you that. It's because the CFO and I and the COO need to be educated about what the heck is happening in the world. But what do I worry about? Like, in my deepest, darkest secrets, who gets the story, right? Like, we're getting the story. Lots of people are getting the story, but all the unit economics have to work. All the pieces have to fit together. Like, I got 30 stores that have only been able to operate 2 chairs at a time because of COVID. Because I'm not going to let the horses out of the barn. The worst thing for this brand is to let 8 chairs at once and someone gets sick, whether it's a team member or whether it's a customer. That is a recipe for disaster, because I'm trying to grab revenue during a time that is absolutely tragic. So at the end of the day, like, I don't have enough puzzle pieces to tell anybody how those 30 stores are operating in normal times. That will happen. So here's the thing. We got all the time in the world. We got capital. We have momentum. And we have a deep set of beliefs that we're going to just keep investing in our clients' lives and our team members' lives. And I believe in the goodness of that. And if that, that will work over time. We will will that to work, by the way. So, that's what I worry about, Trish. Yes. And a thousand other things. And every day, somebody says, did you know about this? And I'm like, oh boy. But you know what? Here's what we talk about a lot when we used to have an office, and we will have an office again. We had a great office in San Francisco. We had all these quotes all over the wall. And I'm a sports person. I've played team sports, and I'm a sports person. Like, I organize my life around it. And the reason why is there is no I in team. And here's what I've learned is, if you can live your life every day, like, lots of people have this saying, there's like, I have to do this. I have to do this. Okay. No one has to do anything. If you can live your life and you could say the following, I get to do this. And you know what? I am blessed and I get to do this. It's an honor. I get to do this. It's hard, but heck, what is it? So I'm all in.
Yes. Boy, we're in with you. And there's people are just really loving the message. And so many, thank you all for all of these wonderful comments in the chat, and really appreciate that. So a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
Supply chain. Someone says I couldn't get my color for weeks.
Yep.
And I know you talk a little bit about that too with Forbes. So talk with us about supply chain.
Yeah. So we make our color in Italy. We so just to go back in history a little bit, the US now owns this prize, unfortunately. But, at one point last April, the second hardest hit region other than Wuhan was the Lombardy region of Italy, in the epicenter of where we make Madison Reed hair color. And we had, when things happened, we had a lot of weeks on hand of inventory, but we didn't have as many weeks on hand as selling a box of hair color every 5 seconds. And so we learned a lot about how to protect our downside risk. And, we're moving filling to the US, not making. We don't need to make. Hair color has a huge shelf life. I can go on forever about vats of it, can say for 6 years. That's not the issue. But we are, so we learned a lot, and we did an interesting thing, which was, at the maximum, at the apex of our experience of what we call the surge internally, we were out of 8 colors on and off for about 8 weeks. And so they would come in, they were so popular, they would go out. They'd come in. We spent over $5 million of air freight bringing color in. The only reason we could keep making color is because we made hand sanitizer for free to the Italian government. That's the only reason they let the factory. We would have gone out of business. We would have had zero. So we went and we got really scrappy. And that's what scrappy people do. They go and they find out with their partners, okay, what is it that could leap? Well, if we make hand sanitizer, tell them we'll pay for hand sanitizer, right? Because we had a chance of a lifetime. And so we kept the factory open. We got trucks running. We tried to work our way through figuring out whether customs were going to be a problem when stuff was shut down. The ports never shut down, thank goodness. But then the second tier problem, the second level problem was, okay, the hair color came here. All of you remember the amount of COVID outbreaks in distribution centers. It was insane.
Right.
And so we had a moral dilemma. And the moral dilemma was the following. Like, we had a distribution center who was, in my opinion, not paying attention to protecting their workers. And so, I had a team of people. We still have it every Thursday. It's called the emergency response team. We're just keeping it hanging around 8 o'clock on Thursday morning. But we had every day a group of us, every single day, a group of us, 7 days a week for 5 months that got on the phone at 7:30 or 8 o'clock every morning, just to check off the boxes. Do we have enough inventory? What's the problem at distribution centers? What can we do? What's happening in the color bars? Are we redeploying those people? Are folks okay? Is anybody sick? Just go down the list of things. And it's continued now for every Thursday. But the point of the matter was, we had a moral dilemma. And the moral dilemma was, so I and the CFO started getting on the phone with the distribution center CEO and COO every day at 1 o'clock. And we started managing, saying, no, it's not okay with us. We'll pay for hand sanitizer. Well, people are stealing the hand sanitizers. Well, maybe you should give them some to take home, because they're not just stealing it. They feel scared. So let's start going to work together on how you can make lives better for them. And we just systematically went through that. That turned out to be a good decision. We stood up a third distribution center ourselves in 3 weeks in May, because we had so much problem, and we disappointed customers. And the worst part of this whole thing, and the person that said, my box didn't come forever, is I am truly sorry. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm sorry, because we disappointed you. We disappointed a lot of people. A lot more people were happy that were sad. That's a good thing. But we disappointed a lot of people. But the truth was, we were running and we were trying as hard as we could to keep up. I tell people, I don't know if any of you remember I Love Lucy. Do you remember I Love Lucy? And does everybody remember the episode with Candy, where she's making the candy so fast, she's trying to eat it, she's giving it to people? There were some Candy moments. The wheels never came off the bus, but there were some flat tires. And so we had to be honest. We had to look at that. The good news about it is we got our inventory under control. We understand now more. We hired a rock star global supply chain person. And then the other thing that happened for us is we put gloves in our box. And we used to put 2 pairs of gloves in our box. And we had to make a decision to put 1 pair of gloves in our box. because those are the same gloves that people are using to take care of people that are sick. And our customers got so pissed at us. It was shocking to me. Somebody put on what was the most thing. I was shocked. I was getting people like, why isn't there two? And I'm like, I want to give you 2 pairs of gloves, but I can't give you 2 pairs of gloves now. There'll be a day, hopefully, when we'll put 2 pairs of gloves back in, right? But right now, I got to prioritize. And then we did a lot of things, right? We did stuff where Red Cross, I know that somebody's on from there. We did stuff where we gave all proceeds from days of sales to women's efforts and to relief efforts. Because you know what, like, again, if somebody said what was the weirdest thing, I think it said, like, what was the thing that I learned the most or something, like, life has these 2 conflicting things that happen every single day. Again, the Madison Reed lesson. They are 2 conflicting things. What is the definition of wisdom? Being able to hold sorrow and joy in your mind at once and in your heart. So we're like running and everyone's like, oh my God, the growth. And every single day, a group of us would just get together at 8:00 at night and be like, is everybody safe? Is everybody, is anybody sick? Does anybody have a family member that's sick? So, look, we actually, for the first time, unrelated to all of this, had our first family member close in mom die 2 days ago from COVID.
Yes.
And, this person is remote, didn't work in the office, but to watch the absolute, it's like nothing I've ever seen. So the company's rallied around that person, but, it's bizarre. It's like the 2 parts of your brain, the parts that's doing backflips. They like us. They finally like us. And the part that's going, this is crazy town in the world. And then the other part that I'd share with you, like being isolated from your team, watching people having to manage their kids going to school at home. I had to manage somebody going to school at home, watching the anxiety. My kid missed the second half of her 11th grade and all of her senior year. She's never going to get that back. Never going to go to prom. Be lucky if we have a graduation. If she gets back, it'll be for 4 weeks. And by the way, these are high class problems to have. So we're totally, but nonetheless, like we're all dealing. I got an elderly mom, trying to get her the vaccine, and I haven't seen my mother in a year in Philadelphia. I have never gone my entire life without seeing my mother. Right. And, these are things that are real. These are things that are real for everybody. All of us are feeling it. This is if I hear the word unprecedented one more time, but the truth is, like, what is the rule book? What is the rule book here? I don't have one. I don't have a playbook to tell you how to measure what happened in the world. But here's the piece that I talk about. And so if you want to hear a real wacky theory, maybe in retrospect, 2020 was the most important year of all. Maybe it's the year that we learned what was important. Maybe it's a year that we stopped the trains. Maybe it's the year that we needed a bucket of cold water over our head because we're all running really hard and fast. I had dinner with my family every night since March 12th. I was running hard and fast. I was never going to get that time back. I've had more real conversations with friends from college, high school, relatives than I ever had because I wasn't spending the time, right? I have gotten closer to our team members and understood their hearts and their minds in a way that I don't know if that would have ever happened before. And I also have to tell you, and this is what I love about Portfolia, really the truth, the reason we let you in this round is because at the end of the day, here's what happened. What happened to George Floyd? Guess what? What was important? All of us white people watched something because we were home that we were never paying attention to before.
Right.
In the horror of what happened. And for those of us who saw messages and thought of ourselves as enormously liberal in life, right? Our skin color is, I'm a gay person that's out, right? So I've had plenty of people that hate on me, and that's okay. And I have to tell you, like, we advertise on Fox News. You could all get mad at me and be like, I'm pulling my money out. We advertise on Fox News. You know why? because evil people in red states deserve to have hair color. I'm not running a political conversation. So I want to be the one that says, this is not politics, right? I think the problem is that we don't know how to talk to each other, right? About real things. So the issue is, in the middle of this, George Floyd and many other things happen. And all of us that are white sit there and we go, holy moly. And we realize, like, we have an obligation to stand up for right and wrong. Yes. And we have a platform in our business. We have a platform at Madison Reed. 52% of the people that work here are of color. 81% are women. We have a platform, and we owe it to that platform to change their lives and to stand up for things that are right and wrong. And so people can tell me this isn't the right voice, this isn't the right platform. And here's what I'll say: you can decide, you can decide what side you want to be on, but we're on the side of making sure that we do everything we can to be those allies, that we stand up for things that make sense, that we fight systemic racism. And people can tell me, well, my house is on fire too. Yeah, not really. Guess what? I want to put the fires out first of the houses that are on the biggest fire. And then we'll get to your fire, because if there's one fire in the neighborhood that's bigger than everybody else's fire, your house could burn down too. And so what I'm saying is, like, we're on a platform now. I could go on for hours of the things we're doing in the company about fighting systemic racism. We have changed all of our marketing. We got to take a stand, and we will make mistakes. I can assure you. We will do microaggressions that we didn't mean. We will have people that aren't educated enough. We will have people who, just go on, but we're human. And so what we need to do is learn to love each other unconditionally and talk to each other as team members, to be educated. Because what are we scared of? Our humanity, right? So at the end of the day, like, what would happen if 2020 was the greatest year of all? That's my theme.
Yes. Whoa. So friends, if you're in First Step Fund or you're in Rising America, then you are now a part of Madison Reed. And unfortunately, you can't get into Madison Reed into the new fund. There's a number of questions, but what I want you to know is that we're really kindred spirits with Amy and with Madison Reed, which is why she invited us in on this investment. And it's because when we put our money together to back the companies we want, we are going to find and shift the world and find those answers, find those solutions to the issues that we believe are important. And that's the only way we're going to make that change, is to move forward together, even for small amounts of money, and start backing these companies. You're now in 70 companies, Portfolia is, and many of you are in every fund we've done. And that's how we change it. And exactly. Our goal is that we're going to have 100,000 women in funds backing those companies. We're going to have stronger companies. We're going to have better teams. We're going to have the solutions that we want. So Amy, I want to finish up by asking you how, you can tell we are in love with your vision. We'll be your greatest supporters.
Thank you.
How can we help make you and the company as successful as possible?
You can, so first of all, I am right back at you, right? Like, we were, for those of you that don't know, the round was almost done. It was oversubscribed, and we met, I had known Trish. I've known Trish for years. It's been a mutual, love fest between us, but it was like life was running in different places and we just never connected. Right. And so the round was almost done, and, we were lucky enough to be connected and had a mind meld. And I just said to my CFO, no, we're going back to the board and we're going to let more money in, because we must band together. So here's how you can help us. Keep it coming, keep us honest, give us feedback. tell us about what's working, what's not working, introduce us to other people, let us get the message out there about how important this is. Let's partner together on radical things, right? Like, this is more input is better than less. And we don't have all the answers, but what I do have to say is I believe in my heart that if and when this company goes public, it will be women that are buying this stock. It'll be people that are part of the movement. And, we're thinking about philanthropy at Madison Reed. We're thinking about a foundation. We're thinking about doing a lot of things ourselves. And then on a personal level, look, I've been an investor, I have the DNA. I'm always happy to help. I may not have the bandwidth. So the first thing that I'll tell you is I'll always email you back. I may say, get me your questions, and I'll email you late at night because I check all my emails. I don't go to bed till they're done. And so, I'm there for you too, to give you feedback and advice. And I am a partner at True Ventures. And so I do, Tuesdays in the morning, that's what I do. I'm an investor. So look, we have something here that's beautiful together, and we need to keep it going. And the other part of this is we have to always have a mind that the tent needs to be big.
Yes.
It needs to include everyone in the tent, right? Mm-hmm. And we all need to learn. So, our hearts and minds are open. I believe in the power and the audacity of hope. And, it's when you get two beautiful things together, it can only be more beautiful. So we're there for you. And then I just want to say somebody, I think it was someone named Christine, who said, we have to have a bottle of wine together when this all happens and sit down together. All right, Christine, you bring the wine. I'll meet you. We'll figure it out. I welcome the day where we can hug each other. I welcome that day because it's just been too long.
Yes. We are going to, we can see that the end is in sight, and what an event we will have. So we're so looking forward to that. And Amy, thank you. Yeah, I know
thank you.
Busy day with the big announcement, but thank you for being here and for sharing your story and your journey and the future and ringing that bell with Portfolia. I know we have our partners for the two funds, and we're going to have a follow-up. So those Great. Partners, click on that link. And but for right now, on behalf of all of us, thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Thank you for letting me be part of the family. It's an honor.